Hi, I'm Pitmaster Megan Day from Burnt Finger Barbecue, and I have our Kansas City style burnt ends for the Royal Oak Charcoal Pellet Recipe Series. So first I'm going to start with the point end of your brisket. Usually when you get a packer brisket from the store, you're going to have the flat and you're going to have underneath of it a very marbled piece of meat that we call the point meat. This is great for making Kansas City style burnt ends. There's so much intermuscular fat that's in here that you really need to render out, but that's what gives it so much flavor. So what I'm going to do is trim this down so that there's any loose hanging meat. I want to make sure that I'm absolutely getting that pulled off of here. Any fat that's on top, I want to remove because I really just want that rub to stick right to the meat. So I want to season this up, and I'm going to let it rest for about an hour with that seasoning on there because I really want it to get down in. Let that meat sweat out for that hour so that it takes those flavors, and then it releases a little bit of moisture. Like I said, I want to let this rest for about an hour, and I'm going to get my smoker going. I'm going to set the temperature at about 275 degrees, and I'm going to fill the hopper with 100% Royal Oak charcoal pellets. It's going to smoke for about 3 hours. Get a nice, good mahogany look on it before we wrap it up. This point meat has been on that smoker for about 3 hours. I've hit about a 160, 162 temp on it, which is absolutely perfect. You can see that beautiful mahogany color that we were talking about. So now it's time to wrap this. We're gonna add some flavors here. I'm gonna, this is very rich barbecue because this is technically what I would want to put in front of a judge, right? And you want rich flavors. So we're gonna put some butter on there. This is unsalted. Just make sure that the top gets some good layers of butter on it. So I'm gonna go this direction. I'm gonna roll it up super tight, pinch off the end, pinch it up, and then before I do that final seal on it, I'm gonna use some beef broth. And I use broth specifically because sometimes when you get stock, it can be cooked with other vegetables and things. I just like the good beef flavor, so that's what I'm gonna use. Beef broth down inside. Just pour a little bit of love down in there, and then wrap it up. Be really careful because you are starting to get some points. It could rip your tin foil, so I like to use 2 sheets of foil for that reason, just to try to give myself some insurance that it's not gonna bust open on me. I'm gonna put this back in the smoker for about 4 hours. Like I said, we're gonna try to get it to about 205 degrees, and I'm gonna start checking to see if it's done. All right, so these have been in the smoker for about another 4 hours, and it really depends on how big your piece of meat is. So it may take less than that. I like to probe it, and once it hits about 205, I start checking it. And what I'll do is I'll take the probe and I will push it in, and the hint is there should be 0 resistance. There should be nothing, like a hot knife through butter when you're sticking it in. And stick it in multiple areas of, you really should have no resistance when it hits that meat. That's when you know it is done. I'll release the steam from it. Let it go for about 5 minutes. Then I wrap it back up and I put it inside a cooler so that it can rest and all those beautiful juices kind of come back to it. All right, our point meat has been resting for about an hour just to let those juices get back down inside. It's gonna be beautiful. We're gonna pull it out and we're going to cube it up. I like to go down just a simple, all the way down that point meat till I get to some of those bigger ends. And then what I like to do is turn these on their side and go down one more time. And I'm going to cut the point meat into cubes. Okay, the point meat is completely cubed and ready to go. We're gonna add some Kansas City style sauce to it, but I wanna thin it out just a little bit. So I'm gonna take some of the au jus that was formed in the bottom of that foil with the butter and some of that beef broth, just a little bit to thin it out. And I'm gonna toss these burnt ends. If you like your burnt ends a little more crisp, you can always put this pan right back on the smoker and let it set the sauce. Get those plated up. There's so much fat inside of the point meat that it just makes these almost, we call them meat marshmallows. They're just so beautiful, and you can see just they kind of sponge, but there's that nice little bit crispness on the edge because we did put it in the smoker for that low and slow cook over the 100% Royal Oak charcoal pellets. It's got a good charcoal flavor on it, which you like, that authentic flavor. And I looked in my ash, there is not much ash that's in there, so it is a really good, clean cook. It smells delicious. These are authentic Kansas City style burnt ends off of the pellet grill with that authentic smoke flavor. Here we go for trying them out. I'm gonna get one of these little nuggets. Sweet, moist, a little bit of crunch. It is a burnt end from the point meat. Delicious, super happy with these.